Clark County Today is presented by Connell Real Estate. Hire an agent, get a team. Learn more by visiting connellrealestate.com.
Well, happy Friday, everyone. I'm Chris Brown. This is our Week in Review. We'll look back at the top stories of the past week. Today, Governor Jay Inslee announced that Washington's Stay Home, Stay Healthy order is going to be extended starting Monday for an additional 3 weeks. That's through the end of May, if you're keeping track. Some changes, though, would allow landscapers, auto sales, car washes, and house cleaners to resume by around the middle of the month. There is also a list of 10 counties, including Skamania, but not Clark County, where there have been very few cases of COVID-19. They could apply to move ahead to phase 2 of the reopening sooner. Asked how he would deal with growing unrest from people over the extended closure, the governor had this to say.
Look, the vast majority of Washingtonians don't want to see their relatives die of the COVID virus. The vast number of Washingtonians accept that this is a community interest that we have and we're all working together. And the vast majority of Washingtonians understand that if we stick together for a while longer, we won't lose all the gains that we've already made.
The state's plan includes a 4-phase reopening approach, which Inslee said would likely take around 3 weeks between phases, assuming testing and contact tracing can be sufficiently ramped up and cases continue to decline. Well, over 3,000 of you have responded to a poll on our Facebook page asking if you believe the stay-home order should have been extended from its May 4th date. So far, 82% said they disagree with the governor's decision. Today, Clark County saw 2 new confirmed COVID-19 cases. That brings the total to 361. The death toll remains at 21, with just 2 additional deaths since Monday. We spoke with Dr. Alan Melnick, the Clark County Public Health Officer, about how testing is going here.
Testing supplies are getting better, so the number, I believe, like for example, Peace Health is now testing all hospital admissions. The Vancouver Clinic, I already mentioned, is helping with testing in long-term care facilities and homeless shelters. Legacy Go Health has got a fair amount of testing capacity as well. I mean, basically, the situation is such that anybody who's symptomatic and who needs a test in Clark County should be able to get one.
And you can see that full Zoom interview with Dr. Melnick at clarkcountytoday.com. One thing that will be reopening, at least on some level, are state parks, at least for day use. The governor also announced that fishing and hunting activities can resume on May the 5th, so long as social distancing rules are observed. Visitor centers, camping, and overnight accommodations on state lands will remain closed for now. The Department of Natural Resources also will be reopening for day use only starting next Tuesday. Well, Clark County Today editor Ken Vance weighed in this week, calling that decision a small glimmer of light peeking through the dark clouds of the stay-at-home order. While Vance has been obeying the governor's stay home, stay healthy order, like most of you, he is among the growing number of people hoping we can get back to something resembling normal soon. Vance said it's important to count the cases of those who have been infected and even died, but also we must take note of the collateral damage of the pandemic, he said, which Vance believes is the declining mental, emotional, and physical health and financial impact of the stay-home order. On Tuesday, Vancouver police were involved in a deadly shooting at Northeast Stapleton Road and 4th Plain. 50-year-old William Abe reportedly attacked another man, then refused to drop a sharpened weapon. He eventually approached an officer with that weapon before 3 officers opened fire. Abe later died at the hospital. He was homeless and living in that area. Abe had been in trouble with the law before, including abusing a dog in Hillsborough 3 years ago and getting tased after using a crowbar to bang on the door of the Vancouver Police Precinct in 2018. The Clark County Sheriff's Office is leading the investigation. One day later, and just 300 yards away, an 18-year-old driver was arrested for second-degree murder after running down a 45-year-old in the parking lot in front of the Sky Zone trampoline park on Wednesday. Vancouver police said the victim was a skateboarder who had approached Joshua Jones's vehicle, allegedly punching the window. Jones then reportedly made a U-turn and accelerated toward the pedestrian, not stopping until his car was on top of him. The victim, who has not been identified, was rushed to the hospital where he later died. Well, the second time was the charm for the Woodland School District when it came to their request for a replacement levy on Tuesday. The Education Programs and Operations levy was rejected by voters last February, with more than 55% opposed. We're facing more than $3 million in potential budget cuts and the possibility of losing 50 employees. The district's board of directors elected to put the levy back before voters in Tuesday's special election. This time, Woodland voters in both Clark and Cowlitz counties approved the replacement levy. Well, in the age of COVID-19, school districts are going virtual when it comes to graduation this year. Several districts, including Battleground, Evergreen, and Hawkinson, plan on having students record videos, which will then be put into a produced graduation ceremony for families to view. Other districts are still finalizing their plans, but all say they hope to have some kind of in-person celebration as soon as possible, even if it has to be some sort of drive-through event. So stay tuned for more information on that. The same is true for many colleges and universities. Washington State University has tentatively delayed their commencement for the 2020 graduates to August, but on May the 9th, they're inviting graduates and their families to celebrate virtually using the power of social media, video calls, live streams. WSU is linking all of its campuses together, including Vancouver, to celebrate graduates using the hashtag CougGrad. Graduates, friends, family, and alumni can post their memories and favorite moments to be included in the virtual presentation. Well, this week, WSU also announced the year's top award winners. The Chancellor's Award for Student Achievement went to a graduate from here in Vancouver. Our resident WSU alum, Jacob Granneman, has the story.
Thanks, Chris. Every year, WSU Vancouver puts out their list of the Chancellor Award winners. And like every year, one of those award winners goes to a student for achievement. Now, that student this year is a man named Vince Chavez. Now, this young man is a really incredible student. We got to talk to him about his passions. He actually had a double major with 2 minors in multiple fields of science. And right now, he's looking at becoming a policy associate at the Capitol, the state capitol here in Washington, with goals of getting a dual program in law and medicine. So this guy is incredibly busy, he's incredibly motivated, and he also had some really great encouragement and advice for this time, because the ceremony that usually is in person, obviously because of the virus, is going to be postponed and only virtual right now. But that didn't really deter him, and his encouragement to all of us is to get involved and be a part of our communities and give back to those communities even during a challenging time. So check out his full story at clarkcountytoday.com.
Thank you, Jacob. This week, we also talked with Battleground City Councilor Shane Bowman, not about politics, but about the adventure he had with his dad recently on the Alaskan wilderness. Alan Bowman is a 3-time cancer survivor and says he was skeptical when his son said he wanted to do a 5,000-mile trip from Seattle to the Arctic Ocean and then to Anchorage. The Elcan 5000 is a rally that pits drivers against the frigid environment of the frozen north, with temps often dipping to 50 degrees below zero. High winds, whiteout conditions, ice-covered roads, all part of that 10-day drive. It's a fun story, though, with barely a mention of COVID-19, so check it out at clarkcountytoday.com. All right, let's check in with Paul Valencia for a recap of the week in sports.
This week in sports, we brought you the story of student-athlete Natasha Lewis of La Center. High school spring sports were canceled due to the pandemic, but schools across Washington have announced their plans for awarding varsity letters to spring sports athletes. Each school has its own criteria. At La Center, earning this letter for this season meant a little bit more to Natasha. She finished her high school career with a perfect grade point average, and now with 12 varsity letters, 4 letters each year in her 3 sports. Congratulations, Natasha. Also in sports, the Richfield Raptors have signed several baseball players with Clark County ties. If there is a season this summer, the West Coast League team will have a lot of local talent, including Alex McGarry of Oregon State, a former Columbia River standout. Oh, and next week, golf courses in Washington can resume business, with social distancing guidelines in place. Camas Meadows has already announced that it will open May 5th. And judging by its website, Tri Mountain Golf Course is in the process of reopening as well.
Thanks so much, Paul. And there's a quick recap of the stories you'll find this week at clarkcountytoday.com. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and even YouTube to see when stories are posted and be part of the conversation. You can also send us an email with your story ideas, your feedback, news at clarkcountytoday.com. For all of us, I'm Chris Brown. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you again next week.